Okay, so if you're new here, hi. I've done this before. So if you all know me, I got back from a week and a half long vacation, much longer vacation than I thought it would be. Thanks to my family for actually affording that trip. But I promised when I get back, I would review the one thing that I was totally excited about once it came in the mail, literally on Saturday. So thankfully, I was able to record today since I don't really have school today. Martin Luther King Day. Woo woo. Anyways, so why not in this video talk about possibly one of my favorite items ever from 2024 that's Godzilla related, which is the Bandai Movie Monster Series 2024 edition Dream 5 box set that comes with not one, not two, but 5 fan favorite figures that everyone wanted to be made. And it came on my doorstep Saturday when I got home. I opened it up, not vigorously, I'm not an animal. I kept the box because why the hell not? It looks beautiful. So without further ado, let's get into the review. Oh, before I do so, 2 quick announcements. So my normal editing software, CapCut, is offline because of the whole TikTok banning thing, which will take like 90 days at most, which hopefully CapCut's back sooner, because yeah, I don't really know how to feel about that. I'm honestly kind of ticked off since it's mostly what I use to edit, but thanks to OGGoGSM, thank you, Gabriel, for not only supporting my channel, but saying that Splice was a good alternative, so thank you. And this video is also for him as well, because I know how much he loves these toy reviews, I know how much he likes this channel, and we did co-op in the past, which I'm thankfully planning on more stuff in the future with him. So either way, without further ado, let's get into the box set. Okay, so before we take a look at the figures, there is one thing that we have to look at first, and that is the absolutely ginormous box this thing comes in. And my lord, look at this art. See, we got all the 5 monsters. Got Anguirus, Kamacuras, King Ghidorah, Mechagodzilla 1974 specifically, and the long-awaited Gabara, which finally Bandai is doing this. I'm very excited. And this thing is made not with a stiffer cardboard, it's more of a flimsy kind of cardboard. But either way, if we look on each side, it kind of continues that artwork. There's some of Mechagodzilla's missiles, there's some gravity beams. Then if we turn it around to the other side, it continues around where you can also see Anguirus' tail, which is funny. Back of the box doesn't really have anything, it's mostly blank. However, on here, it says Bandai Movie Monster Series Dream 5 2024 Box Edition with a bunch of Lego Mumbo Jumbo on the background, including the Godzilla trademark. And on the other bottom side, it shows not only the logo, but of course Movie Monster Series, and it shows this beautiful logo with all 5 of the monsters in this little logo thing. Bandai Namco, Godzilla, Godzilla Company, Bandai. This box is massive. Like, if I had to like truly measure this, which I actually did, it's about a little over 14 inches wide and a bit over around 9 inches tall, maybe a bit taller, like 10 inches. But I must say, this box is an absolute beauty. Now, with the figure order that I'll do this in, I'll go from my least favorite to my most favorite in the set, which you will find out, of course, in this video. Now let's head on to my least favorite in the set, which honestly might surprise you. Okay, so this specific figure is my least favorite, probably because, I mean, we kind of already got him in the past, except it's the 1975 version, which in my opinion looks a lot better. But we're starting off with Mechagodzilla 1974. And don't get me wrong, this is an awesome figure. We haven't gotten a Mechagodzilla 1974 in a main line ever since the Bandai EX Monster Series, or whatever it was called, along with Bandai America, which is the exact same mold, which I will show off in a little bit. But the mold is not bad whatsoever. We have a bunch of paint detailing on here, like all the rivets, little bits on the chest and crotchal areas. Got the MG painted on both sides. Very cool to see, along with the little receivers on the sides of his head. He's got his orange eyes and very evil smirk. I am kind of sad that the little tongue isn't painted in there, which, I mean, Bandai America's one was, but either way, we have some more darker grays, which at first I thought I was going crazy that there was a darker gray paint on here, but like, there is. It's hard to see at first, but in the right lighting, you'll see it just fine. A bunch more of that riveting detail. The feet look very nice. Got these little knee pad spikes here. He's got the little neck vent thing. If you over to the side, you can see the back of his head, which looks very nice and angular, along with his dorsal fins going down to his tail, which I love the little thruster detail there. And all the segments in the tail look extremely nice. All the segmentations and the detail. Here's the bottom of the feet, Bandai China, Toho Company. These figures do not come with tags, unfortunately, which I guess the box is just a ginormous tag. But Toho Company did say that they will be re-releasing these figures individually, and they will have tags. So, should I have waited until then? Probably not. I mean, the box is cool enough. But Mechagodzilla is really cool in general. He is my least favorite, however, just because, I mean, I think they could have done a bit better with him. Like, not with paint and detail, it's great, but it's articulation. But before we do that, let's compare him to the other Mechagodzilla 74 figure I have. And here is the Bandai America, or Bandai Creation, whichever you put it in. Mechagodzilla 74, as you can see, it's a lot more of a darker metallic gray. It's got the same details on there. It's got, you know, the MG logo, the receivers, and it even has little red tongue torpedo things in his mouth that are painted. Yes, it is a different sculpt. It's in more of a wider stance. This one's more confined. And actually, the Bandai America version is actually a bit taller. Like, if you look at it, it's a little head spike that's a bit taller. And I've also had this guy since, like, 2019, so he's very old. And, yeah, they basically almost look the same, except one's a bit brighter and one's a bit darker, which I do prefer the darker shades of metallic paint on this guy. But overall, who can really complain? Because this guy is also just about as good as this guy, maybe even a bit better in my opinion. I mean, it's my opinion, I have a bias. But either way, while this guy is honestly impressive, this guy really isn't in one certain category, which is articulation. So I'll put him off to the side. The only bit of articulation he has is in his arms, which can go all the way around. Nothing at the head, which is very unfortunate. Nothing at the torso, nothing at the legs, nothing at the tail. And comparing his articulation to the Bandai America one, his head could spin around, his arms could twist, his waist could swivel, and his legs could twist as well. Man, how unfortunate it is to have this guy not have less articulation than an older figure. And speaking of which, I think Shinrajira pointed this out, but there's the same mold but scaled down in the American line. I think that's the Godzilla Monster series, whatever it's called. It's literally this exact figure but scaled down. It even has the same articulation, but this is just scaled up and has more paint. Which, yeah, sadly, he's my least favorite overall. But either way, it's a really cool Mechagodzilla figure. It is my least favorite in the box set, but I still genuinely enjoy this guy. Now moving on to definitely a monster that I have been anticipating, but not as much as the others. So we'll set Mechagodzilla back there, and we shall now look at the one good pupper, the greatest boy in all the land, Anguirus. Specifically, it said 1972, even though you can also count this as just a 68 Anguirus, because he basically had the same design all the way from 68 to 74. But either way, Anguirus looks amazing. A really well done rework in general. Sure, the body mostly looks the same. It's that head sculpt that's basically different. You see he's got some larger and more detailed eyes. He's got those black pupils in there with almost like a goldish brown color for the iris. You can see his teeth are painted nicely. It does look different than the other Anguirus that figure I'll get in a minute. From the front... Okay, he looks a bit goofy from the front, but I mean, it's Showa Anguirus. He's supposed to be goofy. And same thing on the other side. Teeth are painted along with the eyes, which if you really get a good close-up of that, yeah, it looks very nice. Along with the horns that are painted this nice, almost like caramel brown color. which, of course, thankfully the horns don't have any scuffage on them, which, thank God. I bought this off of eBay for like $250. I couldn't pre-order it at the time. But you can pre-order this off the American Godzilla store as we speak. It says it has a ship date at around February, which, if you want to get it sooner, then probably do, like, I don't know, you got the Japanese Godzilla store and, like, Hobby Link Japan or wherever else it's available. All of the detail on his head is phenomenal. All the extra spikes and osteoderms and the scaling. And even his shell is nicely painted and in detailed. Like, I mean, I can use this dude as, like, a brush, like a hairbrush. I mean, you can kind of see it too, right? Sure, they're almost, I don't think they're painted on both sides, but when you look at it from above, yeah, that's awesome. Almost reminds me of a pineapple for some reason, which is very cool. Even the front limbs have some nice detail, even some extra spikes right here with some painted nails, which are about the same color as his horns, maybe a bit lighter. But yeah, you can see all of the beautiful scaling detail in there, and even some very small details on the bottom of his feet, which I love how Bandai focuses on so much detail. Along with the underside of his belly, which is nice and wrinkly, you gotta love that. Along with his back legs having that same, like, osteoderm scuting, including more spikes on his back legs, and some painted claws on the back of his legs, which I did not expect these to be painted, like, at all, for modern Bandai, at least. And, of course, the tail spikes are here. They're not painted, sadly, which, honestly, I kind of expected. But overall, even the detail on the tail... God, that's a really old joke, but look at that. And even all the trademarking is there on his tail. Bandai China, Bandai Company, Toho. All of this detail is here, and it looks very nice. And even his little nostrils. Look at his little nostrils. They're so cute. He's a really cute little pupper. So this, honestly, is possibly my favorite Anguirus figure I have in my collection. Definitely my favorite Anguirus so far. And if they are gonna, like, re-release, like, Final Wars Anguirus with, like, a different paint scheme or something, this dude is definitely my favorite Anguirus figure, along with the Raids Again Anguirus, which I will get right now for a quick few comparisons before we move on. The first Anguirus I'll show off is this Anguirus that I got at G-Fest last year in 2024. This is supposedly the 10-inch version, like 10 inches long, but if you kind of look at them a little bit, they look like they're almost the same length, which is kind of weird, but either way, you can kind of see the differences in the sculpt. Like, the head isn't as concave towards, like, the nose area here. The teeth are differently painted on here. Same thing with the horns. The eyes are painted differently. Even the neck looks a bit longer than the older one. And you can see this one's made of a more harder vinyl. This one's nice and squishy. You can see that his nails are painted like gold, while his are, like, painted like a creamy white color. You can even see that the gold continues down the tail, while this it doesn't, which honestly is fine with me. And even when you look at them head on, they are completely different. Even the spikes on the head are less sharp, and they're not as, like, pointed up as this Anguirus. But overall, I definitely prefer this sculpt better. Sure, this one is nostalgic in its own right, but I think this one's not only a bit more movie accurate, but just more appealing, just to kind of look at. So, the articulation is about the same as the older figures, but before we do that, I'll also take a look at the Raids Again Anguirus that came out, I think, yeah, November of 2023, so my god, it's been a very long time. Which, yeah, I mean, look at that. Look at the differentiation of Anguirus. Before, he looked like a shoehorn like this guy does. Which, overall, this is a really nice figure as well. If you want to get Raids Again Anguirus, definitely get this one along with the Raids Again Goji that came along with him. Which, yes, I bought them in the same package. But even looking at just the slight differences that this Anguirus has with this one. Like, you see, this Anguirus' tail is longer. This one's isn't. His hind legs are a bit longer. His isn't. You can see his neck is longer along with his face. His isn't. And even his armor looks very different. But either way, this is a really cool Anguirus figure to have in my collection. Definitely my favorite, on par with the Raids Again Anguirus, which I also recommend picking up if you can. So, now, moving on to articulation, it's honestly a bit more than I expected. So yeah, nothing at the head, sadly. The arms, well, front limbs, I should say, twist. So do his back legs, which you can kind of move him up like this to kind of make him look like he's sitting down, if you're into that. I'm not going to rotate them all the way around because I'm not chipping off any of that paint. Yes, I am that kind of person. And the tail also swivels. Yet again, I'm not twisting this all the way around. I'm honestly surprised the tail swivels because I didn't really expect that, like, at all. So there is Showa Anguirus, which I'm kind of surprised that a bunch of Showa monsters actually made it into the poll. I expected at least a couple Heisei or one Millennium, but all Showa? Good to know. So Anguirus, definitely really cool. Definitely somewhat better than Mechagodzilla in my opinion. You can say otherwise. I don't care. It's my opinion. But moving on to my third favorite in this box set, which has been long awaited ever since, well, honestly, ever. YMSF did it before Bandai could ever do it in that scale. So now let's take a look at the one and only Gabara. Holy crap, I still can't believe I'm holding a Movie Monster Series Gabara figure in my freaking meat hands. Because this, my friends, is official. Nope, it's not a YMSF figure, which looks very similar to this. This is Bandai through and through. It even says on the feet, Toho Company Ltd, Bandai China. This is official, my friends. Gabara is here. He's real. You can feel him. You can shake him around in your hands. He is here. He has finally joined the roster. And yes, I love this thing. So, Ginger Pickle over here, which I nicknamed him because he's got, you know, the ginger hair, and he literally looks like a deep-fried pickle with brown on him. Gabara looks amazing. Definitely a lot better than I thought he was going to turn out. And once I got this guy in my hands, I was so giddy and so happy that I finally had a official Gabara figure, which he looks very nice. Like, even the nice white teeth are painted in there. You can even see, like, all, like, you can even see the tongue in there. Even looking at the eyes. Oh my god. Oh my god, camera, focus. Look at the eyes. These eyes. Oh my god, they did his eyes so good. Like, it's more of like a darker maroon color at the start, but then gets more orange towards the center. My god. And oh my god, this camera will not focus. Focus! Okay, there we go. Look at that. Even the nostrils are detailed. Even inside of the ears, there's detail. My lord, Bandai. They've done so much. And even all, like, the bits of hair on his head are detailed and painted nicely. The horns are nicely painted. Even on the back of his, like, neck here, they're nicely detailed and painted. There's very small little paint scuff there. But other than that, it looks great. And even going down his tummy, you can see this almost like bronzish gold on his tummy, which I think that's suit accurate. I'm not too sure. You can even see that his nails are painted nicely. And it even has a differently sculpted hand on this side, which is more like a fist, which that's pretty cool. And his entire body is just like this very lumpy texture. He's got a little tail nub right there. And even on his feet, there's nice detail and some paint for his nails. Very nice. Even on the insides of the hands, there's detail. Well, not really in this hand, but this hand, my god, this looks amazing. I wouldn't ask anything more with Gabara. The fact that he now exists after so long is just a relief and an absolute biggest take of fresh air I've ever had. So this is Gabara. Now, if you're wondering what articulation's gonna be like, just the arms. All the way around at the arm. Nothing at the head, or waist, or legs. Honestly, I'm not mad. The fact that Gabara exists just lightens my day so much more. and just comparing him to Manila, wherever he went. Oh, there he is. Which I have not reviewed yet on the channel. Just look at that. Just look at that. Ain't that beautiful? Just having these both together makes me joyous inside. So, okay. So there is Gabara. My boy, my dude, he's here. I do wish he had a bit more articulation, but honestly, I don't care. I'm glad that he's here after so long. Now, we'll go on to my second favorite in this box set. And trust me, it's not what you expect. Okay, so making a bit more room here, we have my second most favorite figure in this set being the one and only Kamacuras. Kamacuras has not gotten a figure in like 6-inch scale in a Bandai line ever since 1994. That was almost over 30 years ago. Can you believe that? And look at this big-ass bug I am holding in my hands. Even the wings, look at these wings. It's more of a muted red color from the rest of the body, and even this extra dark shading on the wings just makes it so much better. And even like the little thorax right over here and the spikes leading down look so good. And even on the torso, there's these little black bits here along with some more spikes. And the legs. Oh my god. They're not a squishy vinyl like the rest of the body. They're a hard, plastic, which is nice. Because if you know soft vinyl, thin soft vinyl specifically, it eventually warps over time and just kind of droops down, which thankfully these are solid pieces connected to soft vinyl. So that's really good to see. The legs have like the little hair detail in there along with these extra spikes. And even each and every nail on these feet are painted in detail. Very nice, I must say. And even looking at his little hands here, here's the little spear hand, which looks very nice. It's not painted, but honestly, who can really complain? This is a somewhat new and affordable Kamacuras figure. Along with, the extra hairs and little spikes right here for his arms. And even on this arm right here, there's more of that hair and there's the spikes. And even with his little sickle claw here, these bits are painted, which honestly, very cool to see. I didn't really expect them to actually be painted, because, I don't know, Bandai. But this looks extremely nice. And even all the smaller bumps on the arms and everything looks so nice. But then we get to the head, and my lord, if this isn't Kamacuras, I don't know what is. They got the antennae, which are painted on both sides, and they're extremely thin and malleable. And even if you look really closely, there's some, hair detail on the tips of these. My lord. And even looking at this little Y shape above his mouth, which there's his mouth, by the way. My lord. It looks terrifying in the film, I promise. You can even see little spikes, and even the eyes, which start as a metallic orange, but then there's a spritz of a gold, on these little bits of the eyes, which honestly, I honestly love how they did that. Just small details like that can go a long way with a figure like this. This is awesome. Bandai cooked. Seriously. We got what we asked for with Kamacuras, and here he is in all his glory. The head looks awesome. The body is nicely proportioned. The claws are just so well done. Great job on Bandai's part. Which, that leads us into articulation. Which, yeah, there isn't a lot, but it's doable. See, the arms can go back and forth. Both arms can. None of the legs can articulate, because if they did, that'd probably lead to some balancing problems. Nothing at the thorax, nothing at the waist, but there will be a swivel at the head. Thank God this thing is not glue sealed. If it was, I don't know, I'd get the bug spray or something. I don't know. But Kamacuras looks really, really nice. And yes, towards the end of the video, I will compare him with my YMSF Kumonga. But for right now, let's get on to my favorite figure in this set, which you can probably already guess that by now, and it is King Ghidorah. And ladies and gentlemen, it's the moment you have all been waiting for. The one, the only, the heavy King Ghidorah 1964. Or just Showa Ghidorah. And my lord, what a showstopper this fella is. He's big. He's about 7 inches tall at his head. But if you go by the wings, he's like 8 inches. He's very long. He's very heavy. Probably because of these wings. I know you can't, see how heavy this is. But trust me, when you get this in hand, he is heavy. And most of the figure is covered in this very rich, very elegant, very almost royal gold color. You can even see all the scuting and scale details on his body. The toenails aren't painted, which I'm fine. It's fine with that. And you can even see all like the gold and everything. Even the wings, which barely have any detail on them. But it just works. It's King Ghidorah. And even on the tail, the little tail clubs here are nicely sculpted in on both sides. Look at that. Look at that. Even looking on the back of the wings, look how amazing this looks. Like, hang on, I'm gonna have to like pull the camera back because he is so big. I mean, look at that. I have to pull back my camera so much just because of how big this dude is. And yes, they're squishier vinyl. I do warn you guys, however, that his wings will come warped in the box just because of how, crammed it is in there. In the promo pictures, his wings are more spread out. But honestly, the wings came in like this, and I'm not too fond of them. They're fine. It honestly makes it better for shelf space because they're more slicked back. But like even looking at the necks, we get the spikes and everything going along here. And when we get to the heads, my lord, the heads, honestly, freaking fantastic. Like they got the little bananas on their heads, they got the little spikes and everything, the nostrils, even the tongues are painted in there. The tongues. And one thing that I did not expect this figure to have. Painted manes. Holy shit. Painted manes that are more of this darker-ish, grayish brown color that really pops out in certain lighting. And even looking at the heads, the eyes look so good. The red and the black with not white, but gold pupils. Very similar and suit accurate. Bandai, 10 out of 10, 11 out of 10. If not, I say 100 out of 10. Because this might be one of, if not the best, King Ghidorah figure ever made for the movie Monster series. Because, I mean, look at that. Each head's at a different level. Each head has a somewhat different expression, especially Kevin up here. Because, like, Ichi is kind of like looking down here. Knee is somewhat looking forward. And Kevin's pondering. But, like, overall, even looking at all the linings under the necks, it is absolutely beautiful. Definitely my favorite Ghidorah figure in my collection. It's not bland. It's not, like, useless. It's not a shelf hog. This will definitely pop off on your shelves. I promise you that. And if you're wondering what articulation is going to be like, it's basically the same as the other Ghidorah figures. It's just the legs. Just the legs. Which, why would you even need to pose these anyway? Because, yes, the wings don't move, but they are fixed in place, which is nice that they're fixed in this way. So they can kind of actually be put on a shelf better. But now, finally, let's get to our closing and compare them to some other Showa monsters from that era. So here we have all 5 monsters together, and my good lord, they look awesome. For the original retail price for about $130 before shipping, I paid $250 for mine. But overall, just for that price alone, well makes up for it. Even coming with a very nice looking box and 5 figures we have never gotten before in this line, I would absolutely recommend picking this up. I have to recommend it. If I don't, I will be a madman. But real quickly, before we end everything, let's do a couple comparisons between each monster, which will probably be like 2 or 3 for each. in numerical order that I showed them. First comparison I'll have with Mechagodzilla is actually the Bandai Movie Monster Series Godzilla 1975, which, yes, I know this is the wrong Mechagodzilla for that, but they look very cool together. Very nice. Very cool together along with this Godzilla. His second comparison we'll do is also from the same movie, well, kind of, is the Titanosaurus, which also looks very nice together with this Mechagodzilla. I will definitely recommend, if you want to get, you know, the whole entire cast, you can. It's possible. But just this looks awesome. Now let's compare Anguirus. So the first comparison we'll do with Anguirus is the 55 Anguirus, which is right here. This Anguirus is not only a bit longer, but also just a little bit taller because of his head. But overall, these two look very cool. Now, moving on to the next, here is the Bandai America Godzilla 1968, which also looks very cool with Anguirus. I must say, it fits very well, in fact. It fits possibly even more, like, perfectly. It's absolutely phenomenal. And for one more final comparison, we'll do one of his somewhat relatives, I guess, which is Baragon. And yes, these two look very nice together, I must say. They look awesome. Just no contest. Now let's look at Gabara. The first comparison we'll do for Gabara is, of course, the one, the only, wherever the hell he went. Where is the little munchkin? Oh, there he is the Limited Movie Monster Series Manila, or Minya. I call him Minya just because it's easier to say. And yeah, it's not the greatest scaling, but still, it looks nice. Looks nice in general. Another monster from that movie that we saw, which was just stock footage. Here's the Movie Monster Series Ebera, which, yes, it's shorter in stature, but it's basically from the same film that Gabara first appeared in, so it's basically very accurate. And for the final comparison, we'll do another random kaiju, which is the Playmates Gorosaurus, which, of course, yeah, scaling isn't the best, but, I mean, who can complain? We have Gabara now. Now, let's get into Kamacuras. As I said before, we'll take a comparison with this Kamacuras and the YMSF Kumonga, which, yeah, not the best scaling, but still looks cool. Here's another comparison with another insectoid kaiju a little bit, maybe from a bit later on. We have Megalon, which, I mean, yeah, they're both bugs. This one's a cockroach, that one's a mantis. So, I don't know, I just thought it'd make sense because they're both, like, insectoids. But for the final comparison, we will compare him to the 68 Goji once again, which, it's not that bad. This Godzilla is a bit taller than the other 68 Godzilla that's been released by Bandai, but it seems like the right scaling. Now let's get into Ghidorah. Okay, I actually had to zoom out a bit to actually get all of him in frame. But for his first comparison, here's the Playmates 56 Rodan, which, it don't look that bad. Do wish Bandai would somehow make a Showa Rodan some point soon. Not too soon, at least, but thankfully they will. If I had the 65 Dancing Goji, I would definitely compare it to him, but sadly I don't have him at the moment. Then for the next comparison, let's do another sort of interesting monster. We have Hedorah. This is specifically the bipedal walking version, which, dear God, these things have too many names, which, yes, is definitely shorter than Ghidorah. But if you're a Gigabash fan and you're wondering why I did this comparison, now you know, and now you understand. And for the final comparison, we'll do another monster that was actually supposed to fight alongside Rodan in the skies to defeat Ghidorah, being Varan. And yes, he's very tiny compared to Ghidorah. But either way, let's move on to our closing. So I tried to kind of recreate the box art with these guys. But overall, if I were to recommend this set from a scale of 1 to 10, it would be an 11. This set is awesome. If you're a Godzilla fan, if you're a figure collector, you would love this set. I trust you. You will not regret it. Sure, the price seemed expensive, but if you kind of do the math and you kind of see how much these figures will cost individually, it's about the same for what you're paying for. And honestly, with the cool box and the 5 figures like all together, it's a dream come true. What a way to start 2025 with a review, and with that being this one. And honestly, it melts my heart to see that all these fan favorite monsters are back in vinyl format. Thank you all so much for watching this video. I honestly really appreciate it. And when next we meet, I have no idea what I'll review. But also thanks to OGGoji SM for supporting me from all this time. I'm pretty sure that he's also been waiting for this as well. But thank you all for being so patient for a new video like this to come out. I'm sorry if it's been like a delay, but I'm very happy that I got this, and I'm very happy to see that you all have enjoyed. Until next time, peace.